Today in this video, we are going to see how to create the tables in the BigQuery. As we know that BigQuery is a fully managed service and also it is a serverless data warehouse which is going to allow the users to store and analyze the large data sets using the SQL. And one of the most essential tasks in the BigQuery is the creation of the tables. So where we are going to store the data for the analysis purpose, right? So without delaying the video, we are going to see how to create the tables. So there are multiple ways are there to create the tables. We will see all the ways how to create the table. Okay, before seeing this video, please do watch the previous videos like how to create the data set and how the hierarchy of the BigQuery will be there and all. Please do watch, because without watching all those videos, if you try to watch this video, it will be little bit confusion for you. Okay, so now if I see what are the possible ways are there to create the tables. There are three possible ways are there. The first one is either you can go with the using the BigQuery console, which is nothing but a web user interface. The other ways is you can use the SQL queries. By using the SQL query also, we can create the table in the BigQuery. There is another way that we are going to call it as a command line tool. By using the command line tool also, we can create the BigQuery. Okay, in this video, I'm going to show you how to create the BigQuery using the, how to create the BigQuery tables in the console. Okay, so without delaying, we will see that in this video, what I'm going to cover is this creation of the table using the web user interface. Along that, some options are there while creating of the table. That and all options I'm going to explain you now. The next videos and all, I cannot explain that options and all because it will take a lot of time. So that's why in this video, I'm going to tell only one way to create the table along with the options what are available. Okay, so now if I go to the console, this is the console, which is a web user interface. As everyone know how we need to go for the BigQuery, you go and search in the search bar like query BigQuery, so that you are going to get the data warehouse, BigQuery data warehouse. I'm going to open this one. So like this, it is going to appear for you. As everyone know, welcome to the BigQuery studio. So you can see here the project ID is going to show you. So here I'm going to create one table inside the data set. I have told already how to create the data set. So in this data set, I'm going to create the table. Okay, how I'm going to create the table is, you can see the option called view actions, right? The three dots is there. Click on the view actions. Here you can see the option called create table. Click on this create table. So it asking some information about your table. So we have to provide that one. When coming to the first one, which is a source, I'm going to keep as an empty table now up to now. So here you have multiple options are there. You can select multiple options. I'm going to tell you the further videos. I'm going to tell you what are the options are there. Okay. So up to now, I'm going to show you the empty table. So I'm going to select the empty table. Then the destination will be like the dataset name, the project ID, it all it is showing. So the table name I'm going to keep like employee data. I'm going to keep. This is my table name. I'm going to keep like this. Then when come to the table type, it is an important thing. So here you can see the option called native table. There is a one more option is going to come for you. It is an external table. So for example, if I select any different option in this source, for example, Google Cloud Storage, which is nothing but a bucket. If I select like this, if you come to the table type, you can see here there is one more option. It was came is the external table. What is the difference between the external table and the internal native table is the native table is going to manage. It means in the native table, the BigQuery is going to manage the schema at the same time the data. Okay, when you go with the external table, the data can be managed by the other systems and the schema is going to managed by the BigQuery. For example, if I want to show you, just a minute. See here in the native table, what is going to happen is in the native table, the BigQuery is going to handle the schema at the same time the data. Both it is going to manage. When coming to the external table, in that case, what is happening is the BigQuery is going to manage only the schema. The data inside that schema will be managed by the other systems. The other systems can be, just a minute. The data can be managed by the other systems. The other systems can be the GCS, which is nothing but the buckets. Next one, it can be the S3, Amazon S3, or you can give it the Azure. All these are the other systems are there, which is going to maintain the data. Okay, so the BigQuery is going to manage only the schema if you select the external table. If you select the native table, that time the BigQuery is going to maintain both schema at the same time data. It is going to manage. Okay, that is the difference you have to remember. Now here I'm going to keep the option as native table. Here empty table. Yeah, empty table. The source I'm going to keep just now empty table. Then I'm going to keep the table type as in a native table. And when you come to the schema, here I'm going to give what are the fields are required. Here I'm going to keep my field name as, which is nothing but column name. I'm going to keep as ID. The type should be the integer type. So you can see the drop down list is going to come. You can select the data type. Now I'm going to select as the integer. The mode should be the nullable. Okay, if you want to keep as required, you can keep the required. Up to now, I'm going to keep the nullable. If you want to mention in description, you can maintain the description also. So the next field, I'm going to create one more one. Like name, I'm going to keep is a string. So if you want to mention the max length, you can also mention the max length. So next we can create one more one. I'm going to keep like DOG, which is a date of joining. So I'm going to keep it as a data type as date. It should be the nullable. So these are the column names I have specified, data types I have specified, and also mode also I have specified, which is nullable. Now the next option is the partition settings. So what is this? The partition settings are there are three options which is available for you. The first one is no option. Next one, partition by ignition time. Next one is partition by the field. Why we need this partitioning? Why we need the partitioning in the BigQuery is if you go with the partitioning, then it is going to increase your performance. How means, for example, let us take there is a data like let us take just a minute. Let us take there is a table of data from 1 to 1000 records are there. Okay, if I ask you to search 256th record, if I ask the employee ID is 256, then what you are going to do? Will you do like 1, 2, 3, 4? Will you do like this? As a human, we won't search like this, right? What we are doing directly, we will go to the 250th place, and from there we are going to start searching that where is 256, right? Like this we are going, right? We are doing internally, we are doing some partition in our brain, right? While searching. The same way, when you come to the BigQuery also, here the partition is going to divide the big data set into the smaller parts, which is nothing but partition. For example, let us take there is a 1 to 1000 employee IDs are there. What I'm going to do is instead of creating that entire 1000 employee IDs data in one single table, I'm going to maintain the data into the partitions. So that what is happening is while you are running any query, the time when you are trying to search something, it will be going to decrease the searching time so that the performance will be increased. So for example, how I'm going to divide is let us take 1 to 251 partition. I'm going to consider 251 to 500 one partition, 501 to 751 partition, 751 to 1001 partition. Sorry. Yeah, like this I'm going to take the partition. So that now what is going to happen now, if I search any 502 record, if I ask you to 502 record, will you go to 1 to 250? No, we will won't go. 251 to 500 will we go? No. Directly where we are going? Directly we are going to the 501 to 750. There we are going to search this 502, right? So that it will decrease the searching time, so that it will increase the performance. So what I am going to tell here is if you go with the partition, the performance is going to be increased. The important point what you have to remember is if you go with the partitioning, the big data set is going to be partitioned internally. It cannot create physically these type of tables. It cannot create the physically. Internally, it is going to store in the way of partition. Physically, it won't create. That you have to be clear. So why do we partition a table? Why we need to partition a table is when there is a big table, when the table are very big, that time the searching is going to waste of time, right? If I want to search the big table, it is a waste of time and waste of the resource also. So we do the, when we go with the partition, the time, the performance is going to be increased and the time also will be less. The searching time also will be less. Okay, that is an important point which we have to remember. Why do we go for the partition? And then while doing the partitions, you have to check the right partition, whether you can do the partition with the ID column. You should not do the partition with the name column. Will we do? We cannot do the partition by using the right, which means name column. You cannot do the partition, right? So there are few things which we need to remember while we are doing the partition. How the partition going to be is, you can see here, we can do the partition based upon the three things. One is date and time column. We can do the partition by date and time column, or you can do the partition by the integer range, which is employee ID, like that. Or you can go with the partition by ignition time also. Ignition time is nothing but the data was added into the BigQuery. So whenever the data was added to the BigQuery, whenever the data was inserting into the BigQuery, based upon that also you can do the partition. Okay, let us take one basic example for your understanding purpose. This is the sales data. I'm going to take a few records. Sales data, product name, amount, the sales date I have mentioned. Now if I want to perform the partition on this table, if I go with the option called this option, which is the ignition time option, if I go with this ignition time option, or if I go with the date and time column, that time what is happening is, let us take this example. I'm going to take a date and time column. Let us take, I'm going to do the partition based upon the date column. Okay, this is the date column. I'm going to take the partition. So if I do the partition as a human, you only tell how we are going to do the partition. The June 1st records are we are going to keep into the one table. June 2nd, what are the records are that we are keeping in the one partition. June 3rd, what are we are keeping in the third table. If I ask you like what is the products was sold in the June 2nd, immediately what you'll do, you'll ignore the June 1st table and the June 3rd table we are going to ignore, and directly we are going to the June 2nd table, right, to take the data. So the same way here it is going to happen. How it is going to partition is, the date for the data for the June 1st is going to the one partition, and then the data for the June 2nd is going to go with the another partition, and the June 3rd is going with the another partition. Okay, so if we see here like this, it is going to do the partition. Getting my point? It means you can observe here. The June 1st data is one partition, June 2nd data is one partition, June 3rd is a one partition. If I ask the BigQuery to select the data of June 1st, it is going to ignore the both the things, and directly it is going to search the first partition. It is going to take the data from the first partition. So the searching time will be less, right? Instead of scanning all the rows, it will scan only some part of the portion. Getting my point? So that's why we need to use the partition, so that we can increase the performance. So this is the partition. Here you can go with the partition by ignition time, as you told, by inserting the data. For example, if I select this option, you can see there are multiple options it is showing, the partition types. If I go with the ignition time, you can see the ignition time, inserting time, by the day you want to partition, or if you want to do the partition by the hour, or if you want to do the partition by the month, or if you want to do the partition by the year. So based upon this option, the data will be partitioned internally, so that the searching will be very easy for the BigQuery. Okay, so this is the option. Or if you go with the particular field, so here what are the fields I have mentioned? ID, name, and date of joining. So ID can be used for the partition. Name we cannot use for the partition. The date of join also we can use for the partition, right? Yes. So here when you go with the partition by the fields, only some fields we can do the partition. If I show here, only ID and the date of joining can be used for the partition. Let us take, I'm going to keep an ID. When you keep like this integer range things, you have to provide some information regarding that. What is that? Is the first starting value you have to provide, and the ending value you have to provide. How much? The ending value, and the interval also we have to provide. Let us take, I'm going to keep the interval as 250. Every 250 records, it is going to create one partition. Every 250, it is going to create one partition like that. For example, there is a situation like the 1000 was completed. One person came. Those who is the 1001 person. That time what is going to happen? Will this it is going to change? No, it is won't change. Once if you create the table with the specified partitioning values range, that cannot be modified again. Okay, that time what we have to do? What we need to do is, while creation of the table itself, in the end value, don't specify the 100,000. If there is 1,000 records, don't specify 1,000. You just keep like 2x more or 3x more. For example, I'm going to keep like 3,000, or you can keep 5,000. Like that you can avoid. So sir, if you mention the 1,000 like this, if I mention 1,000 like this, if the record was inserted, so that what is going to happen? Will comes under to the partition? No, it won't come into the partition. It will go to the special thing called overflow partition. It is going with the overflow partition, the new record which you have entered, which is 1,001. So instead of pushing into the overflow partition, we just mention the 2x or 3x value. Let's take, I'm going to keep 3,000, so that it won't touch to the 3,000, the employee ID. So that's why I have kept that 3,000. Okay, you keep upper bound so that it won't touch there. So next one is a cluster settings. The cluster settings is nothing but, in our SQL, as we know that sort is the same way here also it is going to be done. It is going to do the ascending or descending. It means it is going to sort the data. If you want to sort the data, you can sort the data. So it is also going to increase your performance. When you go with the partition, if you want to do again the partition data, if you want to sort, you can select this option. The cluster settings you can mention here. But what is the important thing you have to remember is, up to 4 max column only you can use. Only 4 columns you can, max of 4 columns you can use for the sorting. You cannot sort 5 columns, 6 columns. You can sort max of 4 columns. Okay, up to now I'm not using any of the things. If you want to use this cluster settings, you can simply mention this ID like this. Okay, I want to do the sorting based upon the ID. You can like this, you can mention. One more column if you want to mention what they are telling here. Comma separated list of fields you can mention. It means ID, comma, DOG. Sorry. Comma, DOG, which is the date of joining. Like this you can mention. Okay, so finally you have the option called create the table. You can create the table. If I click on this create table, now the employee data 1 created, you can see that the table was getting created. The table was created. Go to the table. If I click on this, you can come to the table directly. Or if I want to create that, if you want to come from here also, you can select this one. You can come from here also. Now you can see here, the important thing you have to observe. Normally in this data set, I have created one table. You can see this is the icon of the table. This is the icon of the table. Like this, if you see, means this is an icon of the table. Then what is this? Sir, as you told, you have created the table, but what is this symbol? This symbol is, when I use the partition, like this, it is going to show that this table was partitioned. Understand? By seeing the image, we can tell the icon, we can tell that this table is partitioned. But here this table was not partitioned. You can see the icons. By seeing the icons also, we can tell whether the table was partitioned or not. By seeing this icon, we can tell that the table was partitioned. Understand? So like this, we can create the tables in the data set. Now, if I want to delete this table, how we can delete the table? Either you can use the option like, just a minute, I'll show you. This is a data set. Here you have the view actions. Click on that. You can see the option called delete. Click on this and write the delete. Click on enter. So it's delete option, so that the employee data 1 was deleted. Like this, you can create the table, okay, by using the web user interface. So in this part, I have told you how to create the table using the Google Cloud Console. The next video, I'm going to show you by using the SQL query. At the same time, I'm going to show you in that video only how to go with the command line tool also. Okay, please don't forget to watch the next video also. So it will be very clear to create the tables in the multiple ways. So thank you for watching this video.